All right, next in our series of EdTech resources tutorials is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is, let's see, it's a sponsored by Microsoft. And what it allows you to do as the teacher is to ask a question in the form of a video, very quick video that you ask your students. And then it allows your students to answer the question in the form of a video. And like the title suggests, that the responses are arranged in a grid along the screen. We're going to get started with establishing your Flipgrid account using your CSDO email address. So I'm going to click the Educator Sign Up button. Okay, and then we have our very familiar. Would you like to? This is kind of. We'll get to that in a second. So we're going to choose Google. It's going to say, "Oh, do you want to use this account?" And I do. So great. It's just going to ask us some information about ourselves. And so we're going to go, we're in the United States. Let's see. And this will depend. I don't think that this tailors your experience in any way. So I'm going to choose middle school, date of birth. Yeah, so I just hovered over the little question mark why they need that. And my birthday was just a day ago. So you all get to see how old I am. Let's see, I have to scroll down here a little bit. So we're going to go all the way down here to 1973, and I'm going to say, let's go. All right. So when you log on if you establish your account for the first time, you're going to go ahead and see this screen, and it'll give you some instructions like create your grid. This is your classroom, and add some discussion topics, and then share with your students. So I'm going to click my red button here. All right, and I'm going to call this grid, I'm going to call it Ed Tech Resources. All right, did I do that right? Good. And I'm going to set mine to, let's see here, by school email, because that's what you're going to want to do, right? And so you can do a variety of options here. For our purposes here at either St. Perpetua School or St. John School, you're going to want to use school email. And why is that? Well, because using our school email closes the experience off for our students, and so that it is not it's not open to the outside world, and that follows FERPA and COPA requirements for students under the age of 18. And so those are some fun acronyms. I might have a little slide card pop up here so that you can learn more about FERPA and COPA permissions for our students. But anyway, to get you started, you're going to need your school. You want to set up your grid to have students join using their Google School email. All right, so I'm going to do that. And you don't need anything else right now, right? And so there's a fun little identifier code that you could use if you'd like, but you won't need to since you're going to have students use your school email. So I'm going to click next. So now here's a very interesting square here. So we've added your school email already because that's how we signed up. So since our students' domain is different than CSDO, we're going to actually add that domain. And so all we need to do, and I'll do it here with you, is just start at the @ sign and then add the domain. So for people watching this video, for the schools that I serve currently, we're going to add stperpetuaschool.org. Right? And then we're going to add stjohnnyc.org. Right? So what this is going to allow, it's going to allow students from either of these schools to interact in our Flipgrid that is managed by a csdo.org account. Okay, so those are important. So for teachers watching, you're probably going to enter one, unless of course you work at multiple sites. So please go ahead and add those domains as well. But for all intents and purposes, you're really only adding one of these schools. All right, click next. Hey, look at that. Our grid is ready. There are some fun little tools right here that I'm going to hover over that we'll get to in the next chapter. So this is, let's say you had built a website and you wanted to take your grid and copy some HTML code and embed that into your website. That's what you do. This is the Microsoft version of Google for education, and so for those that doesn't really apply for us here at CSDO. And here is the magic. You can share your grid through your Google Classrooms at either school. And Remind is a fun app, kind of out of the scope of this conversation, but go ahead in your spare time, Google Remind. Kind of a fun little closed circuit instant messaging kind of tool. So anyway, we're going to say, yep, grid is ready. I'm going to go to my grid. All right, so here is the dashboard of Flipgrid after you have established your account. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff that's going on here, and right, this is the name of my Flipgrid, and in the next video, we're going to get started with adding a new topic.